What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video here on my channel. Before we get started, you know what to do. Hit the like, comment and subscribe, and we'll get straight into the video. Again, news is very limited. Everything's very hush-hush before the start of the season, but we all know that there's a couple of positions that we need to replace players or strengthen. So we've talked about Philip Max at left back. That hasn't really gained any traction yet. There's been a bit of talk, but yeah, hasn't really extended into the next stage of things where bids and things have been made, from what I can tell. No word on a backup keeper and no word on Charlie Taylor. So I really don't think Struijk should be the guy we go into the start of the season with. While I think he's serviceable, I don't think he's a bad player there. I'd much rather him start at centre back with Robin Koch, because with Llorente injured, Creswell out, Cooper injured, Creswell out on loan, and Llorente just not being up to it as a starter, I don't believe. Yeah, we need Struijk playing at centre back. We don't need him at left back. But again, we find ourselves in a position where we're robbing other positions so we can fill ones we need. It just feels a bit silly that we're going to get to the start of the season without it. Still a few days left to go, but we have Wolves coming up very, very soon. I don't know the actual date, so forgive me if it's not this weekend. I'm a bit all over the shop. I've had a rough night with the little one. Last night it was probably the worst night we've had, and the last week hasn't been fantastic. So retaining information and stuff just hasn't been my strong suit of recent. There's a couple of things we can chat about. First thing is Ismaila Sarr. Apparently we're looking at bringing him in. I think it's a fantastic signing if we were to do it. His price tag's come down quite a bit since the first time he played in the Premier League. If you guys remember, he absolutely tore apart Liverpool on the final day of the season before they got relegated the first time. Had a £60 million price tag slapped on his head, stayed at Watford, got them promoted, but last season he didn't have a great time. I don't think he scored as much goals as he probably could have. But I get that in saying that it was I think he played out on the right, and he had a pretty. It wasn't a great Watford side, was it? So I think he'd be he'd thrive under in our system. I think he would be a dangerous player, and the best part is you can play him up top. You can play him as a striker. So you've got a winger and he's a winger and a striker, but he will do well up top. He can get in behind. He punishes teams. I would really, really, really love to bring Ismaila Sarr in. There was no price tag really spoken about. So I don't know how far it drops off. I mean, like I said, £60 million, but at the time I think he was like 21 when that was going on, when he was before they got relegated. So I think he's around 23, 24 years old now. Yeah, he would be fantastic. I think you can get him for a snip compared to what it used to be. I don't think he'd want to stay at Watford anymore, because you know, going up with them and then getting relegated and sticking around and going up again, and them not being able to progress into the next sort of stages would be frustrating. The other one that we could speak about from Watford would be Dennis. He would be a fantastic acquisition. I think acquisition. Sorry, acquisition. Like I said, brain is absolutely melted at the moment. He would be a fantastic acquisition. I think he would be. I'd probably prefer him over Ismaila Sarr, just because I think he was a bit more potent last year. But again, I don't know how much they'd be asking for one or both of. You also asked the question, these guys got relegated, and look, I don't think scoring goals was. I think it was an issue, but I don't think it was like the main issue. I think they were just poor all around. But yeah, I think Dennis or Sarr would be great, and both of them can play on the wing or up front. They're interchangeable. I think we lack that up forward sometimes. We don't have, like, our wingers can't play up top or attack in midfield, except for maybe Aronson now, who looks a bit more adaptable. But I don't think Dan James can play up top. I don't think Harrison can play up top. Even Rafinha, when he was up top, he played 1 or 2 games, if I recall. He wasn't fantastic. And he wasn't really an attacking midfielder either. So we've always had wingers that are just outright wingers, and that's it. We've had strikers who are outright strikers. I think Gelhardt and Greenwood are a bit more interchangeable. I don't think Bamford is. I thought he might be able to play attacking midfield sort of role, but nah. Obviously, Rodrigo as well, we moved him from being a striker to attacking midfielder, but he also hasn't really been as good as what we hoped. So, not really. We've had adaptable players from the midfield and the back line. We've got, Struijk and Robin Koch and that who come through the defensive midfield and play in the fullback position when needed. And we had... we used to have Phillips, who used to play as a defensive midfielder but could play centre half. So we do have interchangeable players there, but we just never had anyone who could play along the front three in any position. Sarr and Dennis would be both those players. So see if that progresses. I don't think it will. I really, at this point, I don't know who we bring in, if I'm honest with you. I don't think... I don't think we're going to bring anyone in. And we spoke about Che Adams yesterday, or the day before yesterday, whatever it was. He would be fantastic, but obviously his goal return isn't great. But he's not that sort of player. He would bring everyone else in and help with that press that Marsh wants to run with. So there's a few options there that I think would work. That would be upgrades, or at least just you'd be able to have depth. Imagine you can bring Che Adams off the bench. Imagine you can bring Ismaila Sarr off the bench, even though I think he would start out on the right-hand side. Just the options. Imagine that. Imagine Sarr and his pace getting down that right-hand side. Like, I think we have had somewhat pacey players, but we've never had someone that's like, Sadio Mane sort of pace, or Mo Salah, or, Sterling, or Ismaila Sarr. Like, that is pure pace. Dan James he's rapid, but he doesn't seem to have the same IQ as those sort of players. He seems to struggle a bit more. So, interesting. We'll see what happens there. I still think we need another striker before the season starts, because we are very toothless. We need a left back. Struijk is serviceable there for now, but we really just need to bring somebody in. Just get some bodies in the door. Lastly, there's been 3 young players that have been signed up. You guys will be aware of it now. Gelhardt, Greenwood, and Somerville all signing contracts, which is huge. I think it's till 2027. So big 5-year contracts. Yeah, 5-year contracts. That's massive for us, that we can tie down these players to contracts. I think Greenwood and Somerville are probably a bit easier to tie down. I don't think they have the same sort of options for clubs as what Gelhardt would have had. But to get Joffy tied down to a 5-year contract is huge. It deters people from coming in and just grabbing him. I think the players are at the stage where, if we were to get relegated, they get a taste of Premier League football, but they would understand they're not at that level yet, perhaps. Maybe Joffy would be, but you'd have to sell him for, a lot of money. And I think this is a calculated risk on the players' parts. I think sometimes relegation is such a negative word that you think these players would just leave. I think they're willing to go, well, I get some games in the Premier League this year. If we go down, that's my chance to really prove myself and then get that experience and get us promoted again, or, really push on and get my name out there. So they're at the age where, I think that they've weighed up the options and they're happy to sign, which is positive. It means that we're more shored up if something does happen this year, because right now a lot of people have us going down. I don't buy into us going down. I think it's going to be touch and go, but I think we'll be about maybe 15th. I think we might push a couple of places up if we get a left back and a striker in. If not, it may be a bit of a struggle, because we just don't look great going like in the that last ball to put in the back of the net isn't great at the moment. And we are going to concede a lot of goals. So yeah, well, that's my prediction is sort of 15th. I think depending on how the season goes. I think the new signs have been really good, so we might be able to push for 10th maybe, but at this stage, where we finished last year and what I've seen from pre-season, I'm struggling to see it. But, you know, we might turn around in a month's time and I might be saying something different. Who knows? If with the run of games we have at the start of the season, we're either going to be really up there in that sort of top 10 zone or in that mid-table zone, or if we don't perform well, we could be seeing, you know, we could be saying possible relegation. It's all down to the start of this season. If we had a few harder games, and maybe you could have justified, oh no, we'll come good, but no, we've got an easier run now, so we need to actually do something with it and start the season quickly. But that's it for today. Ismaila Sarr is the big one. I'd love to see that happen, but you know, who knows? The other one we'll talk about is that we seem still interested in that Terrier, the winger. Jack Harrison, looks like there's some bids that are coming in. We've slapped a £40 million price tag on his head. Some people, there's been reported that the inquiry was 40 million euros, so they haven't quite met the valuation. I think we're trying to deter people. I don't think he's for sale, but if we were to sell him, I think they're also trying to get a good amount of money in. I think Terrier would be the player we go get. He's the one that I'm interested in. I think he can play as a sort of shadow striker. He can play out in the wing. Yeah, I think he's pretty good as well. I think there's a few options there that I'd be happy with if any of those came in. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do we keep Jack Harrison? Do we sell him? I think we can't afford to lose another player who's used to the club. I don't want to do a Fulham where you spend all this money and sell your best assets. The first time Fulham came up and they spent like 120 million and finished bottom. So yeah, let me know in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed the video and I'll speak to you later. Peace.